Here's a little tip for you. Carry electrolytes with you. And if you don't have any, start talking to the runners around you, because you never know when a cramp is going to hit you or when you need a little boost. Both the chemicals and the conversation will give you a little boost while you're running. So I'm going to chat a little bit more too, like I normally would if we were running together. I'll tell you a story about this guy named Garrett and how his comments helped me start a charity for medical research and this podcast, which I hope will give you inspiration and distract you while you're running. This tip is to carry more electrolytes with you. Therefore, to make that easier, I'm giving away little tiny micro zip bags at Grandma's Marathon in 2025. People will call me the podcast bag lady. Oh no. So in your little zip baggie, you can carry salt tablets. You can put in some meds like Aleve or Tylenol or paracetamol, as they call it in the UK, which I learned on Everest. You can put in a little caffeine. I mean, these little bags are so tiny. They're just 2 by 3 inches. You can fit them anywhere. Chances are you have a little pocket somewhere where you can stash these little things. They're just tiny, where I can put in a salt pill. I mean, you could even stuff them into your socks. So this way, if you start feeling the slightest twinge of a cramp, you can take action immediately. At least you have something. And if you can't get to an aid station, or if they run out of Gatorade, which has happened to me several times, like in really small races, like in Big Sky, and the biggest of all in London 2025 at mile 16. I had to actually duck into a pub to get water in London, of all places. You can even use these little zip baggies for your pickles. They're sturdy enough and tough enough where you can put in a little bit of liquid and it probably is not going to leak. Of course, I don't really put liquids in most of the time. I used to use them at work in the laboratory and pilfered a few for my race, and turns out they work just great. So I'm giving away these extra thick ones because they're really durable and because it's something you can actually use, and they're kind of hard to find in the grocery store. I hope you love them. I'd like to dedicate this tip to make a long distance running dedication to my marathon friend, Garrett Davidson. Garrett and I met at the start of the Kentucky Derby Marathon in Louisville in April of 2024. He was there with his friend Andrew, and they were running their first marathon. These are younger guys in their early 20s, in good shape, and they looked like they were having a lot of fun. But it was starting to get warm. It was already in the 70s, and they were a little nervous about that, but excited. And it did start to heat up into the high 70s, a tad humid. In my mind, it was warm and still manageable, but not totally miserable. At mile 11, I caught up to Garrett again, but Andrew was nowhere to be seen. He was ahead of us. And we were running through the shadiest part of the course, through this park, up a hill with these really nice thick trees. Oh, after we had gone through Churchill Downs, the horse track, which was really neat. And now here we were at mile 11, and Garrett wasn't looking so good. He was walking a little funny, a little slumped over. He just didn't seem 100%. We chatted, and eventually he told me he was feeling tired and starting to cramp a little bit, and he was hot, and he was just feeling really discouraged. Well, now it's mile 12, and of course you're going to be tired. But he trained, so he should be able to finish this. And since he was starting to feel a cramp, I gave him some of my electrolytes, salt, potassium, magnesium, nothing crazy, and encouraged him to just keep walking and to give the pills 10 to 15 minutes to start getting into his system, and he'll feel better. To just keep walking, and then when he starts to perk up, to start running again. And yeah, it's warm, so you're going to get hot, but just drink lots of water, pour it on your arms or over your head to cool down. That really helps a lot. I reassured him that he had enough time to finish as long as he kept moving forward. At the end of the race, there was a loop, and I was about mile 24, and I saw him again. He was about mile 21 behind me, and he was still walking, and he was looking good. He was still moving. He was moving faster, standing up straight, and he seemed much better, even running a bit. And I shouted over to him, Garrett, keep moving. You can finish. Don't worry about the time. Just keep going. Well, he waved back at me, and then I finished, and at the end, I saw Andrew and told him that Garrett was just right around the corner. Well, Garrett finished strong a little after 6 hours, and I was really proud of him because I knew he could do it. Well, Garrett didn't know to carry these extra electrolyte pills. So in honor of Garrett, am giving everyone little micro zip bags that you can use. Garrett and I have kept in touch a little bit through Strava and by texting here and there, and he and Andrew have continued to run more marathons and other races. I'm really dedicating this tip to Garrett because he sent me a special message just a month ago in May of 2025, which is a year later after I met him. And he was thanking me for helping him in Louisville, giving him the encouragement he really needed, which made him finish that race. And he returned the favor to me because I really needed to hear that message from him, to light a fire under me, to actually start my charity and this podcast, even though I've been thinking about it for a long time. And with all this talk in 2025 about the government canceling funding and cutting budgets, I decided maybe I could do something about it. I mean, I believe in being financially responsible, and sometimes you have to make cuts that hurt to balance your budget in the long term, but maybe we can find other ways of funding or supporting medical research. So I decided to start a charity, which is pretty scary, but I'm doing it anyway. I'm not really ready. And a podcast to bring attention to it, which again, I'm not ready, but what the heck, I might as well dive in. Maybe this will help me find bigger donors or sponsors or help other runners out there too who need a little boost. I mean, I've worked my whole career in biotechnology and have read thousands of scientific papers. I mean, I know there's a lot of great laboratory work out there, and some cures are just right around the corner. So why not? I might as well give it a try with this charity and see what happens. I mean, really, what's the worst that could happen? It just be a lot of embarrassing podcast recordings. So please donate if you want to do something too. Take some action. And sometimes it just takes one person to get started. Sometimes it just takes that one person like Garrett to give you that encouragement, to give you that nudge, to either start something or to keep going. And that random text from Garrett is what I needed to get moving with my charity and figure out this podcast, well, a little bit. You know, that little bit of feedback was so helpful. Oh, and I didn't even ask him to fill out a survey. He just sent it to me out of the blue. Totally made my day. And now that act is paying it forward by helping you with this little tip and a little bit of encouragement and helping me and the world raise money for medical research. So thanks, Garrett, for helping me too. This is Sally Hed Dahlquist from the podcast Unstoppable Stories That Move. Keep moving forward.